Hey everybody, welcome back to the Nexus. I have a special guest here this week. I've been really excited to have him on the show. We like to spotlight some of our favorite local businesses and also some of our True North stars. We always like to give you guys a heads up on the cool tap on it deals that we got going on right now. We got Lazari's, Fly Dogs, STEM Gallery, Hubby's Timeout Bar, Delicioso Pizza, Mary Ellen's, Dami Dami. We got some good food out there that you guys should go check out, especially if you haven't had some of those restaurants before.
Making me hungry.
Ooh. And without further ado, I have Billy Dha Kidd.
You wanted me to do it, right?
Yeah, that's his signature intro. I love it.
Yep. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
We were just talking a bunch before the show. I mean, we could have been recording then.
Right, I know. Yeah, well, we'll get you guys in on some of that insider info.
I'm excited. Thank you for having me. The show we did, if you guys haven't checked it out, check out the podcast that me and Dad interviewed you for the Minority Report podcast. It was awesome. I've watched it a couple times myself.
Me too.
It's so awesome.
It was just a fun
so many
day.
gems.
Yeah. So needless to say, this man is a man of many talents.
Thank you.
We're going to get into a lot of them, but he is the host of the Minority Report. Awesome podcast with he's done some great interviews. So if you guys are interested in real estate investing, especially, check out that podcast and you'll enjoy it and learn a lot from it.
And our tagline is for the minority of 3% action takers. So if you're in that category, you need to watch it for sure.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yep.
I'm in the 3%.
Yes. Yep.
Life is good.
Yep.
Okay, well, I need you to give everybody kind of an intro.
Yeah.
Who you are, where you came from, how you got your start.
My real name is Billy, and I go by Billy Dha Kidd, DhaKidd. So it's my real name, Billy, but Dha Kidd. And really, I'm from El Salvador originally, so I was born in El Salvador. And I always tell people, we take this great nation for granted, right? Having a toilet is so normal to us that it's so comfortable, like my book, that we get used to it. Turning on the stove is comfortable, right? Heating up food in a microwave. We take those little things for granted. I always like to tell people that I started from negative 100, not even zero. And what I mean by that, is, we didn't have running electricity or water. So my mom had to literally start a campfire to cook for us, on a daily when I was a kid. But briefly, we came to California when I was 9 years old, and then California too expensive. So my mom actually had my aunt out here, which she doesn't even live here anymore. And the reason why I say that is we didn't really have family out here. So we moved here. She moved. And the nice thing with Nebraska was the rent was a little bit more affordable. So we were able, I used to, in California, I felt like a king in California because we had carpet, but and like I said, those are the little things we take for granted, right? But moving out here in California, we used to live in a one-bedroom two-bedroom apartment, but one bedroom was for me, my sister, and my mom, and then the other bedroom housed a full family, and then sometimes even the living room. So moving to Nebraska was like, oh, hey, we could actually afford a two-bedroom apartment. So, me and my sister had to share a room, but that's where I come from. And then as a teen here, I wasn't the best leader. I started hanging out with the wrong crowd in high school mainly. And don't get me wrong, I still have a lot of great friends that came out of that. But for the most part, I was, just partying, skipping school, doing stuff that you shouldn't be doing. But it all came from me being in a single parent home, not having that father guidance to. My mom tried saying no, but I didn't take it serious, right?
She may have been working multiple jobs.
Exactly.
It's really hard to keep track of.
Exactly.
Kids are going to do what kids are going to do.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that's when I fell in love with hip hop, though. A lot of people think that hip hop has this negative shadow over it, but really it saved my life because while my peers were getting locked up or even worse, I was actually finding the love for music, right? I paid my first studio time when I was 16 years old, so I like to say that's when I started. So I signed an actual big record label or through Universal Music Group for my first album, and they didn't come through with what they promised. So I started noticing that I'm like, well, they're not doing what they promised. So I basically said, what if I just take over that? And so I signed myself. I started my own label, Niera Music, and it became a business. So that business actually was like my college. It taught me accounting and taxes and all that good stuff. So, but
you just decided to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, right there.
Straight out of high school.
Yep,
Awesome.
literally.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of my story. And I did try going to college too, but when I went to college, since I wasn't born in the U.S., the financial aid that I had qualified for, they took away. So I had at that point, I'm like, okay, so this music thing, I really need to take it serious. So yeah, and honestly, it was a blessing in disguise now, right? Like,
right. Well, now you have, I like to call it New Era Empire, because we've rolled New Era record label into multiple other businesses.
Exactly, yeah. And like I said, I copied and pasted it. It was like, okay, New Era Music. Then I opened up New Era Construction a few years later, and then New Era Real Estate now, and we can go on. New Era Salon, New Era Cleaning, whatever.
Sky's the limit.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, nothing really scares you, and I think that's one of the cool things about you.
Thank you.
Is like, sure, you hit a roadblock. Universal was not stepping up to the plate. Mm-hmm. What am I going to do? Make my own record label.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And I believe you're also self-published.
Yes.
I am the lucky recipient of his newest release. So tell us all about your book.
So The Power of Being Uncomfortable, it goes back to that. What I noticed is that the reason why I am where I am nowadays is because of that power, the power of being uncomfortable. Even recording my first song was uncomfortable, right? Like, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know how to write. I didn't know. But me getting on it and repeating the process made me become a songwriter now, right? Like, I can literally say I'm a songwriter. Even, it's funny because this book, I actually start off by saying, hey, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. This is my first book, but I'm putting myself in this uncomfortable situation so I can learn about it. And it's funny because in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, I publish my own music and it's on Spotify, Pandora, and all that good stuff. So I'm like, it can't be that different. Well, there's a lot of stuff that are way different than publishing your music, but I learned. So now it's like, and it's funny, I even mentioned it on there, when you do something over and over, the first time is scary, there's that fear. But once you jump on it and you do it the first time, then you learn so much out of it that the second, third, fourth. So I even say it on there. My third, fourth book is going to be a bestseller, right? Like,
right.
So that's what the power is. I'm excited. I've had a lot of great feedback. The audio version is out too, and so I'm excited for it. It's doing great.
Wait to read it.
I look forward to your feedback on it. Yep.
Yeah, I just think that's one of the best things that anybody can do is just start. I think that's the message that you're trying to get out there, because once you start, then you can improve upon it, and that's fine. Maybe you're going to look back someday and you're going to be like, I really could have written some other things in that first book. What I know now, I would have changed something in that book, but that's who you were in that moment, and it really encapsulates that time of your life, and you can really own it. Like, maybe it's not perfect, but what's cool is each time you can reincarnate yourself and do better.
Exactly, so. and that's really, I've had people even tell me that they quit their job to go to a better paying job because of this book, and those are the things I even talk about it on there. Yeah,
that's
and
so cool.
That's what and that's what I love. It's like when you do what you love, and that's kind of where I'm at now. I mean, writing. And the funny thing is, I'm not the best at grammar or pronunciation, but the message is there, right?
Yeah.
Or even
there's
with
other people that are. So you had someone edit it. Great.
Right. Exactly. Yes, Henry Ford, right there.
Only spend your time on the things you're good at.
Exactly. Yeah. Love it. Yeah. And just hearing the feedback, people actually taking action, and that's really, it's cool because I did my research before I published this book. I'm like, okay, what's one subject that, because there's a lot of great books out there, right? But one of them was, okay, how do you push somebody to take action? Like, it's cool to read all these different books with mindset and everything, but I haven't found one that makes me want to get up and be like, all right, I'm taking action. And that was kind of, that was like the goal with this book. And like I said.
And I like that it's short because, I mean, that's a barrier to entry right away sometimes for people to get into like a self-improvement book.
Yeah,
maybe
you could read it and like,
readers.
It's funny, a lot of people have messaged me say, hey, oh my God, I couldn't put it down. I read it, within a couple hours or whatever. So that was another, because.
And it might motivate you to do that big thing that you've got weighing on your shoulder. You got to do it sometime. Yeah. Why not today?
Exactly. Yes. Love it. Love it. So get uncomfortable. That's the hashtag. Get uncomfortable.
You heard it here, folks.
Take action. Take action. Follow your dreams for real. So.
Yeah. Well, I just love how real estate brought us together.
Yeah.
Ironically, the guys had seen me in the news or something and reached out to me and said, "Hey, we want to have you on the show. Maybe represent some women entrepreneurs." And I sat down with Dan to just figure out, hey, what are we going to talk about? And he didn't even know I was into real estate. So we just have so much in common.
For sure, yes.
And tell us a little bit about your advice to new real estate investors.
Yeah. So mainly, the main thing is study. That's really the first thing. Once you got enough knowledge that you feel comfortable with, then that's where you get uncomfortable and take the next step, which is actually doing it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You could sit there and read about, and not just real estate, but anything. You could sit there and read for years, but if you don't get uncomfortable and do it, then it's never going to happen. So that's the first thing. One thing that I've learned so far is that it doesn't matter. We were just talking off camera how, I know a lot of great investors that do commercial, multifamily only. With me, what I focus on is single families and duplexes.
Okay.
And that's really what gave me that. So I fell in love with real estate because of the generational wealth. When with my music and the construction business, I was able to save up some money. So I'm like, okay, well, this is nice, right? Like, I always tell people, it's like, you got to get rich if you want to get wealthy. And at that point, I'm like, okay, well, I have some cash, so it was technically rich, right? Well, I'm like, how do I get wealthy? How do I get to that next level where I can leave something for my kids? And a property will outlive you, right? Like forever. So you could literally hand it down to your kids, and then the kids can hand it out to their kids. So that's the reason why I fell in love with real estate.
Yeah.
And I became Lord of the Land.
Love it. You are such an entrepreneur at heart. It just makes me so happy.
Thank you.
Like, everything gets coined and reproduced and sold, and like, you are just a capitalist.
Yeah, for
at
sure.
Heart,
Yeah, I am. Yep.
I think like that's just inspiring to people. I love that about
Thank you.
And I think that it makes me want to go do things that I haven't done yet. I've got a couple businesses going on, but it's not enough. I got to keep up.
That's the mentality, though. That's the mentality that we all need to have, no matter. And you have to be happy where you're at, right? Like, I'm sure you're. That's the energy I get from you. You're a happy person. I'm a happy person, but. This is pretty deep, but I read somewhere that, let's say that if tomorrow you woke up and you're like, okay, I'm done with my goals, with my passion, I'm not doing anything in life, I'm okay now.
Yeah.
You technically have a higher risk of dying in the next 5 to 10 years. Like, that's deep, right? Like, so I always tell people, it's like, no matter, at this point where I'm at now, I can literally just say, you know what, I'm done. I'm not going to record another song. I'm not going to write another book, because I don't have to. I don't have to buy another house. I don't have to do my next project with my construction business. But if I do that, then that's where it leads, right? Like, you could literally, you start dying. So I always have goals, and it's bigger than money. That's the crazy thing. Where I'm at now in life, it wasn't, when I started, I wanted to get out, right? Like, that was my main focus. Like, how do I help my mom? How do I get out of this poverty that I was born into?
It's a little bit more narrow focus.
Exactly. But I always tell people that gap between when you start to, let's say you want to be a millionaire and you get up here, right, or whatever. Well, it's about that path, that journey. And I didn't understand it until where I'm at now, where it's like I became a better father, a better husband, a better whatever, right, friend, because of what I learned, what I had to go through to get to that point, if that makes sense.
And think about how many people you met along that
exactly.
ladder.
Yeah, yeah, there's so many great things that happened.
And that's like the richness to life for me.
Yes, for sure. I agree. Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's where I feel rich, is like in all these amazing people that have like come into my world that I wouldn't have even known existed.
Yes, and it's inspiring. It's inspiring. Like I said, even the podcast that we did, and if you guys haven't checked it out, check it out. It was a great episode. Now that we met, it's like you always have that connection. And the nice thing, I always tell people, it's like maybe not today, right? But maybe tomorrow or a year from now, what if you bring something that you're like, oh yeah, Billy, or me, the opposite. Oh yeah, Renee does this. Let me get with her. So it's always good to have that people in your corner.
It's super fun too.
Yes. Yep.
So. Yeah. Nothing makes me happier than like if I got the person for you.
Yes.
Like you got a problem and I got the person that's gonna fix it.
Solve
I can't fix it, but somebody I know.
Love it. Yeah. I love that. And that, honestly, that's been my favorite part with our podcast. Just meeting all these great people.
Yeah.
So.
All right, you mentioned books. Obviously, we already talked about books, but I want to hear one of your favorite books you've ever read, and tell us a little bit about it.
Great question. Every time I get anything with books, Think and Grow Rich comes to mind.
Yeah.
That book just literally changed my life. And it's crazy because at that time, all I knew was hard work, and you have to work hard, right? Like I always tell people, you want to build an empire, you have to go and take carpet out or paint or do whatever, right? And don't get me wrong, even to this day, like if I have to, I will do it, right? But once you get enough cash coming in, enough money to where now you could start working smart. And then once you start working smart, then you can graduate to build a big empire. So when I started, I was very, like you said, I was focused on that. You know, the mindset was like, okay, what do I need to do? Get that money, right? Like that was my like biggest thing. And it was, I want to say it was fear that did that to me. Well, a few years into, so I've always worked hard, but when I ran into this book, it woke me up to where it's like, oh man, so it's bigger than just physical, right? Like it's all up here really. So yeah, that's my favorite book. I actually just finished, I listen to it once a year. At the beginning of the year, I actually just listened to it. Tuesday was the last day that I did the audio version, and I did I try to do different formats, maybe one I haven't heard, like an abridged one or unbridged, but yeah, for the past 6-7 years I've been listening to that book once a year.
What's interesting about that is if you do have like a favorite book that you really got like inspiration from and you took action from it, going back and listening to it again, you will get something new out of it, like because you're in a different place and you've learned some things that you can apply that knowledge to in a different way. And so that is a super valuable thing that I also love to do. There's certain books that I love to do that
for
with,
sure.
So.
And that book, like I said, at the beginning of the year, it kind of reminds me. And the nice thing is, to go along with what you just said, you always pick up something. Like you're like, oh man, I didn't pick this up 7 years ago or even last year. Like,
or it's just like reaffirming that, like, okay, I checked off a couple of these boxes this year.
My God, yes.
Yeah. Like, I'm making progress. It doesn't feel like it.
And, you know, and not to, like, sound but, like, listening to it this last time, I was like, okay. Like, it was repetitive in a good way to me. I was like, oh, yes.
This
okay,
feels like
I did
basic
that. Or,
knowledge now, whereas
which
before
was awesome.
It was, like, mind-blowing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
you
that's how you know.
You can't even absorb all the good news and information you're getting out of it.
Yes. Love it. So.
That's super cool. Well, anything as a final note to our listeners today?
Actually, I'm going to be speaking tonight. I believe it's Pier 1 Brewery. So come have a beer.
Up in
I'm
Omaha.
It'll be in Omaha. Shout out to Colin for putting it together. I'm going to be talking about goals, my story real quick, and then goals, multiple streams of income, and real estate. So can't go wrong with that. Other than that, go to Billy. Yep. Go to BillyThaKidd.com. You could leave me your email and I stay in contact. I send you any new music that I drop or anything with my book or anything really. So yeah, and then follow me on Instagram and all that good stuff. So
definitely check him out online, follow him. Reach out if there's something you have a question about. I know that you'd get back to him.
Yes.
And he's just like a wealth of information,
Yeah,
but also
for sure,
just
yeah.
a great support. And,
Yes, yeah.
You know, hey, I've been there. Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's
And,
okay.
and it's funny you bring that up because the next thing that I'm doing off of the book, and so it's like, okay, with this I can, but what if I do one-on-one? So I started actually to coach too. I'm going to be doing some coaching, mentoring. So yeah, reach out. I've had a lot of people even out of state, which is crazy, hit me up and just ask me, hey, whether it's with music, real estate, or whatever. So yeah, or if you want to go have coffee, or I can't go wrong with food. So
love it. Yeah, you can't go wrong with food.
Yep.
That's 100% for sure. Well, everybody, we really appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully you had a good time getting to know Billy Dha Kidd. Thanks for showing up today.
No, thank you.
You're
Thank
an
you.
awesome guest.
Thank you.
Like I said, I woke up excited. So
Same.
this turned out just like I thought it would.
Yep, I agree. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
I appreciate
you're
it.
welcome. All right, we'll talk to you guys later. See you next week.